Hello, and welcome to another episode of 5 Lives, 5 Styles. And this week I stand underneath my newly built tree. And this is very nice and all that, but we have to cover up a few things in order to do so. One of the things we have to cover up is this portal that now I very inconveniently have to access through this weird hole in the floor. And this is my old portal right here. Now, something that I've done in the meantime is I added a little access point down here, right under the tree. But it's mostly going to be for my mud farm that I have done here. The portal, however, I don't want this to be in this position. No. This is not going to be the permanent position. I want it up there. Because I have a really cool idea for some kind of a ruined portal, like a sort of runestones kind of idea. And I want it to be seen from pretty much anywhere, right? As long as you can see that mountain, I want to be able to see that portal. So essentially, that's what I'm going to be doing this episode. And last episode I mentioned I wanted to do a path over here. Let me just zoom out a little bit in free cam. Because over here we had this access point. And I had the idea to build the portal up here already. And so we're going to make a path all the way down through there, all the way through here, and access and connect it somewhere up here. So that's going to be pretty much the entire episode, because this path is going to be quite a long path actually. Now you might think that that portal is quite far from where we live, but I think that's fine. We don't need to access the Nether all that often. For this portal we're going to need several materials, mostly some deep slate variants like deep slate tiles. I want to use some regular deep slate, but I also have come up with a very fun transition, because as you see, it's up on the mountain, there's a lot of snow, and for this part of the mountain I've used kind of a transition of andesite into the snow, and for this that works fine because there is a lot of snow, so it's not very strange that it goes from some rocks to a lot of snow. But on the ruined portal there isn't that much snow, it's just a small layer, so if it would go from rock to just a small layer and that's it, it would look kind of weird. I'll show some more examples later, but yeah, I've come up with a fun transition for that I'm gonna demonstrate pretty soon. And another thing that we're gonna have to do, as you see, there is quite a few trees up here, so we're gonna have to clear it. Let's start with that right away. Alright, as some of the leaves are decaying, I think I have cut down all of the trees that I want to remove. However, this area is not very flat yet, and I think I want to put it on this layer, not underneath the snow, right here. This is kind of awkward walking on top of the snow. At least we have our leather boots to not fall all the way through, otherwise we'd be falling to our deaths and had to do quite a bit of digging in this entire area. There is so much powdered snow everywhere. Anyway, as I was saying, we are going to be digging out pretty much this entire layer over here, this whole bit in the middle, and maybe a little bit on this side. So let's quickly do that, and then we can go ahead and do some resource collection. Didn't know it was going to take this long to get rid of the powdered snow. Why doesn't a shovel work on powdered snow? And there we go, we now have this very nice flat area. I might need to dig a little bit further in this direction, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. Because even though I want the portal to be somewhere here in the center, which is going to be fairly big, I do want some runestones around the portal that are sort of floating and somewhat magical. So that's kind of why I have this area, maybe not as far. There we go. And eventually, I think I'm going to replace the floor with mostly snow. Although some of this is going to get naturally snowed over, probably. We're going to have to change those ugly dirt blocks in the distance, because I hate those. Yeah, same over there. And now we're going to go ahead and collect some resources. But before I do that, I do want to show you a few things about the transition, like I mentioned, to the top of the build. And we're going to transition from the deep slate all the way to diorite into the snow. Alright, so I have laid down my block palette that I'm going to be using for this build, and as you can see, we go from the darker deep slate tile to the deep slate, to some concrete and some cyan. But most importantly, and this is the stuff that I had to collect a little bit, is the coral blocks, which we use in the dead variant. So it sort of blends in with the rest. It's a little bit more brown, but it sort of transitions into the white of the diorite, and it has sort of the same busy texture as the diorite, and then it transitions into the white. And so if I were to look at a distance from this, you can sort of see that that transitions quite nicely. And so that is what I'll be using. The darker stuff I'll be using more as a shadow, and then this I'll be using more on the top of the build. And that is just going to be very nice to have this snow layer on top, especially because, you know, there is so much snow around. I kind of needed that. Here's a quick overview of me collecting some materials, mainly obsidian and some coral. I also decided to grab some of the coral fans while I was out here. And as I've been mining, I have been gathering quite a few of these ores all around, and most of these are the deep slate variant. Like, I've even found some deep slate coal ore, some deep slate copper and iron, and of course some deep slate diamonds, some lapis, a bunch of redstone, and a lot of gold. Now, all of those resources are very nice to have, of course, but I want to be using these specifically in some of the floating blocks / runes around the portal. And so I will probably be using, I think, one variant in each. Maybe I'll use one of these blocks in 2 of the runes, but we'll see, because they are some nice colors to be added into the deep slate. Now that we've gone ahead and collected some of those materials, I think it's time to start building. And I'm going to start with the main portal. And I'm going to be using some scrying obsidian in the portal, and I'm going to use a very different portal structure. And that is all because I am using a data pack which allows that, which is, I think it's like the portal frames or whatever data pack. I'll link it in the description. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and start building a little bit. And I'm just going to do the front, and then I'll probably do the back at some point. But we're just going to transition from the front side first. Then we'll do the floating rocks around it, and then I'll probably finish it off with the back. And then as a little bonus, I will also find out what it connects to at the nether side. Hopefully we get a better spawn as where my portal is now, because it's not in a very nice spot, to be fair. Here we got a bunch of resources that I'm going to use for the portal. We've got a bunch of cracked deep slate bricks. We got all kinds of variants here. I gathered a bunch of these in these chests. And now we can continue with the time lapse. There we go. There is the main bit for the portal done. And as you can see, I have laid on a layer of snow as well. And if we zoom out a little bit, you'll see, well, first of all, there's a couple of holes that I left. And I've got some materials in my hotbar here, the copper ore and iron ore that I'm going to be filling it in with. And as you can see, the layer of snow on top is quite nicely blending with the diorite and the tube blocks or the coral blocks. Now I have currently only placed the tube coral, and so I am going to also mix in a few of the other ones to see it at least being a little bit different, because now it's just the same texture all over again. Get a bit of variation in there. And of course we currently have, you know, 2 blocks here, so getting into the portal is kind of annoying, but I wanted to kind of lift it from the ground, have sort of a plateau, and then connect it to the path all the way down. So this plateau is going to go in front, and of course also on the other side. As you can see, there is currently nothing here. I'm going to be doing roughly the same thing on this side. And yeah, so let's go ahead and replace these few blocks and fill the gaps with the ores. And next up, I'm going to continue and build out the floating rocks on the edges. And that's going to be very fun, but I'm also going to be doing a little bit of fidgeting with that because I don't necessarily know the exact shape that I want each of them to be. There we go. Yeah, we have a few different textures on the top. I think that works. Or maybe I should change one of these now, but that's fine. I like that. Yeah, just a little bit of variance. That's all that I was going for. Now let's start building the few first runes around the portal. All right, there we go. I added a little bit of the first sort of section, and well, this is supposed to be 2 of them. However, I'm not entirely sure yet on the scale of the first one. I might actually make that a little bit bigger and further out, just like I did with this one. The only problem that I'm having right now is very flat. So I do want to have a little bit more depth. Like I had the same problem with this, but I added a few of these sort of bits that stick out, and that kind of helps. But I'm not sure what to do with this one just yet. Maybe a little bit in the center that pops out, but that also will look very strange. Maybe it will help if I do the other parts. Like I started a little bit on this, on the bottom here. So maybe if I fix that, maybe that'll help bring it around. Because maybe it doesn't need to have extra bits sticking out. Just like this one, where it's just a few layers thick, like 3 layers thick or something. Maybe that'll help. Here, I'm showing you just a snippet of how I try to build the shape of the rock. It mostly comes down to a lot of block juggling and adjusting the shape until it's just right. And, as you can see, I try to use the gradient as much as possible, going from the snow through the deep slate, and even using a bit of deep slate tiles for the shadow. So now that you've seen the process of me building one of the rocks, I am going to be building the rest of the rocks. And you won't have to wait for this, and I'm going to just do some movie magic, and we're going to see the results. And there we go. We have completed all of the runes. And as you can see, I started with the diamond at the bottom. Then we have the lapis, we have some redstone, and we have the gold. I made the middle one a little bit bigger. I didn't space them all evenly because I want them to sort of be floating, right? And roughly similar shapes with a little bit of curves and bends, but yeah, most of them are in a similar spot. I also moved some of the rocks so that they aren't all on the exact same line. Now, of course, we're gonna have to do the back, and yeah, we're gonna do the similar trick. I'm just gonna go ahead and move into this wall, and we're gonna go ahead and transition into the back and the platform being completed. And there we go. We have the portal. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. All of it is done. Now let's go ahead and look at the back, because that's the part that we didn't see yet. There we go. Now the little back is a little more flat, but I did add, of course, the platforms, and I added some snow. And now all that is left to do is to light it up. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Now let's take a look from further behind, because I absolutely love the way it looks. Just look at that. It just pokes out of the top, just slightly bigger than the mountain itself. I absolutely love it. It's so cool. Now, next up, of course, we have the path to connect it up with my base. And, of course, we have to check out what it looks like on the other side. Now, I will leave that a little bit. I don't want to go in just yet. But soon, you will see. Before we do the path, though, I want to get to my extension of the mineshaft that we do every single episode. And as we're building this episode's mineshaft extension, I want to thank you for your support. If you liked the video, please let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps the algorithm. I'm actually quite happy. I added a bunch of detail to the floor so it's not completely flat. I added a bit of storage because this feels like a point where you would come back up. You wouldn't go all the way back out of the mine to restock or sharpen your tools or stuff like that. I feel that this could be a in-between station. So I've got a few tools laying around. I might even add some more details as we go further along. I've got here a section for sharpening some tools or other kind of work-related things. And of course, a few storage mine carts, like bringing some of the goods up. But yeah, I'm very happy with this result. And I think then we can go ahead and continue straight on into the path creation if we just go ahead and go back to the mountain. I think now is the time that I go ahead and check out what the portal looks like on the other side. So I've got my golden helmet, of course, and I've got a potion of fire resistant just in case for the ultimate safety. Let's see what we get on the other side. Oh, it actually connected over to the portal that we already had. All right, I wasn't sure if it was going to connect, but it did. All right, why are you breaking down my door? Why'd you do that for? That's not very kind of you. So here we are back on the mountain, and this is kind of where I left off with the connection of the wall transition to the snow. And here I have this gap where I want the path to go. One of the things that I've been doing for the path down there is that, of course, is using the deep slate, the black stone, some black concrete, and all that stuff, which is somewhat darker blocks. However, going up here in the snow, I think I want to transition into some lighter blocks, like the andesite and stuff, that I've also been using in the platform for the portal. And one of the things that I can do over here is somewhat of a transition from using the black and the dark deep slate into the andesite and maybe some stone and whatnot. But what I also want to do additionally is have some snow on top of the path as we transition up here. So we have a little bit of a double transition. We transition into the lighter colored stones, the andesite and stone. And then as we get up here, it starts to become a path that is both stone andesite, but also has a little bit of snow layered on top of it. Firstly, I think I will start and make the initial bit all the way up here with the black stone and the dark deep slates and all that. And then when we get over here, I will also connect it with the mountain and just, make this flatter and whatnot. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of a time lapse as we complete the entire path, and I'll meet you back here when we are finished. I am putting down a few very small lanterns next to the road, and I kind of like it. It's very simple, but I think I like it. It also has the diorite to blend in the andesite and the snow a little bit, a light wood, and then the lamp on top, just as the little bit of a color. Wait, are they still dying in the snow? I think they are. The raiders, every time they show up, they just walk into the snow and die. I like the powdered snow for that. Of course, we can survive with the leather boots. We're not falling in like those idiots. Let's make a few more fences to finish this path off. because we need a couple more lamps here. We have 2 more. I think that should be enough to bring us all the way to the portal. There's 1 more here. Where am I going to put it? I think on the left side here. This could be nice. Oh. There we go. Now let's take a look at the path in its entirety. Now I have placed a little bit of snow layers on top of the path. I expect this to happen overnight whenever it starts snowing or raining. It should fill up with some of these layers, as we do everywhere. Now over here I had to place it myself because it's not going to snow in here because it's blocked by the portal itself. And it will eventually look something like this part, where it's snowed over and you can sort of see the stony path in between. I added a little bit of detail on this side. Now it's transitioning from the darker to the lighter here, and I think it works quite nicely. All right, well, there we have it. The path, the portal, everything is done. That is wonderful. I very much love this curvy path that is going around now. It's very nice. Just going up. Here we have a very steep area, so I had to do a bit of a curve and then curve again because it's still steep on that side. And then here it's nice and flat and smooth. Going over here, yeah, I think I am changing this real quick. I don't like it. And then, of course, here we have this path going all the way up. I enjoy this. I am so happy with the portal. It's such a beautiful thing on the skyline, especially from very far. It works quite nicely. Look at that. Oh, I'm so happy with it. All right, let's change this real quick because I don't like this. I think I just want to make it snow all the way. And then over here, we do a little bit of this. All right, so with that, I think we can wrap up this entire video. We have completed the portal, we have completed a path, added some lights to it, and of course, we're going to transition into the next style for the next video. I have some plans for that already. For next video, I think I want to focus on this area. It's inside of the mines, and it's next to all of my automatic farms. I want to build this area here, just past the iron farm. I want to transform this hallway, starting roughly around here, all the way through, and in between my mangrove and my bone meal farm. I want to have like a street going through here, where I'm walking right now. This part, all the way through here, and straight on. I just want to have this be a street. So there's going to be a lot of digging upwards because I want it to be incredibly tall. And I don't want to see these farms when I'm walking through the city, but I do want to have multiple farms hidden behind the city. And I want to have minecarts going from one side of the city, aka with this bone meal, for example, bringing it to the other side, to this mangrove farm that needs bone meal. I think that could be a very fun addition. Doing a little bit of redstone and building a giant city. Well, a giant street at least. I'm not intended to build the entire city street in one video, of course, but I do want to get started on that next video. So yeah, we're gonna see the new style in the next video, and I'm very excited about that. All right, that is it for this episode. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.